Okay, why don't we stand up? Yeah, I figured that you would probably be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some housekeeping real quick. Like, how long have you been in the business?
9 years, so at the end of this year, this will be my 9th full year.
9 full year this year. And you were brand new licensee,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like interesting. How did we even connect?
I did a Google search for the top real estate company in Myrtle Beach, and Greg's website was the first one that popped up. I sent an email because I didn't know who to call, and one of the admin staff reached back out and had me come into the office. I met with Jan and one of the admin staff, and decided to move forward right then. So we didn't connect until I was already part of the company.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we didn't talk before you actually joined the company.
I don't remember, man. I don't think so.
I actually don't think we did, because I remember the story kind of being like, you kind of were, you knew a lot about the company before you ever came to the company. I think you did your homework. And you kind of had an idea of what kind of company we were, what we were doing and whatnot, and I think you had made a decision. And I guess our schedules might not have meshed for some reason, but you were there, and then we met and we got started. So year one, or first year, I just want to kind of start with what did you start? What did you do in the beginning? You just started business. I don't even remember. I can only imagine what I would have told you. But just tell me, what did that first couple of months look like for you?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of mine was being in the office culture. I didn't know any better than what the training center was. So my experience was that's what real estate is, and that's what people do every day. Real estate agents show up to this office, they make a lot of phone calls, they list a lot of properties or help a lot of buyers, and that was the end of it. So there was no bad kind of habit that I already had going in, or I like structure in general, so it was good structure for me. So I got in, and I remember looking at some of the top agents, like Brendan was there, and Greg was there, and we had some other agents that was doing some good business. And I just watched them and watched what they did. I watched what they said, and I was just very curious. Why are they saying it like that? What do they do when they get off the phone? How are they having these conversations? How far are they taking these conversations? When they get off the phone, what are they doing? What notes are they taking? Who are they talking to after they get off the phone? How soon until they call the next person when they get off the phone? What else are they doing while they're on the phone? I'm looking at all this for everybody who's a top producer because I wanted to emulate them. I saw people with some success. I saw some people that had deals under their belt that I wanted to get to, and I saw an environment that was a little competitive that I wanted to be a part of. So I wanted to join that tribe.
Yeah. So what did your day look like in the first couple of months? Like you would show up to the office, you're kind of like beat everybody to the office. You're kind of at 7 a.m. if not. I don't even know if we know what time you show up because you're always before us, so we don't know exactly what time you're there.
Yeah, I like to get there.
Yeah. So, but what did your day look like? What was your routine?
At the beginning, I think it started. You had a very native version of what Brendan was just going over.
Yeah.
So it started with every morning I'd load those videos, I'd get to the office and I'd watch those videos. And then I would look at my processes to say, okay, am I doing what he's saying to do on this side? And then it was, let me set up my day. Who am I calling between 8 and 9? Who am I calling 9 to 12? And I think I blocked it up a little bit more than that. So it was, who am I calling 8 to 12? And then who am I calling 1 to 5? And then the first week it was like, I either had too many people, I overestimated what I could do, or I underestimated what I could do. So then I was making adjustments on who exactly I was talking to, and similar to probably the exact same thing that Lance was doing. I just had cold call lists. I had condo buildings in the market, I had residential home communities, and different than Lance, I had 2 headsets. So I started with 1 phone, and then I got good enough or bored enough that I got a second phone, and then I had 2 dialers there. And a year ago, Greg took away my dollars. So now I have no dollars. But that was how I did it for years. I had 1 phone for probably 6 months, and then I had 2 phones, and I was so dumb that I had to write an L and an R next to the people I was calling to know whether it was left ear or right ear. And so all of my notes had L's and R's on them, just because I needed to know who I was talking to on either side. But I knew that everybody in there was better than me because I've spent less time than anybody else on the phone and mastering this craft. So the only way that I was going to get better than them is I had to put in more hours in them. So if I put in more hours in them on a daily basis, I was going to catch them faster. If I put in the same amount of hours of them, I was never going to catch them. So it was just a simple equation in my mind, and I stuck to it. So I mean, I was 8 to 8 in the office for the first 3 years. I was making calls. I didn't leave before 8 p.m., and I was always there before 8 a.m., and that was 7 days a week.
And so that was your first year?
Yeah.
And how many transactions as a new licensee did you do your first year?
Somewhere in the 40s.
Okay, got it. And second year?
87.
And third year?
183.
Okay, got it. See that trajectory? By the way, there's multiple agents in the office that did 40, 70, 100, year 1, year 2, year 3. How many contacts did you make per day, you think?
First year, I averaged over 70 a day.
Okay. Second year?
Probably dropped down to like 60s.
Third year?
It's probably dropped down to the 50s.
Why do you think that is? Because it's skills improved. So the whole mission was front load the contacts, the reps in the first year, so you could develop the skills necessary, and then you would see better conversion in your second year, and you wouldn't need as many contacts. And then in your third year, you would actually now have, let's just say that at 70 contacts a year or a day, let's just say he did that for knowing him, he probably did it for about 250 days. So you can do the math, that's around 17,000 contacts he must have made in year 1. Then he probably made around 12,000 contacts in year 2. So there's 29,000. Remember I said I'm not measuring attempts. That means he talked to 29,000 people in his first 24 months. Now think if you want to learn how to shoot free throws and you were actually for the next 24 months, you shot 29,000 practice free throws. Do you think you might get a little bit better? Yeah, like you could try to get worse and still get better if you actually attempted 29,000 shots. Okay, so I said this on stage one time, and I really loved it when I said it. And after I said it, I really didn't think about it when I did say it. It was a nice event, big event in Florida, and I had him on stage, and as well as Abe Sofa and Brendan, they were on stage, and they all kind of had a very similar trajectory on a 40, 70, 100 in the 3 straight years, and contacts and whatnot. So they're very similar. Remember, it's a recipe. And but what I said on stage is like, hey, how many people actually think that that's pretty extraordinary? Meaning, how many deals that he did in this period of times? And everybody said yes. And I, except Greg Harrelson. I said, that's not extraordinary. His result is not extraordinary. What's extraordinary is that he's at the office at 7 o'clock in the morning. Because that's not ordinary. Look at real estate companies across the country. Who the hell's in the office even at 9 o'clock? Offices are empty. So it's extraordinary that he actually showed up early. And it's extraordinary that he did it every day. And it was extraordinary that he would make have 70 conversations in a day. It was extraordinary that he would talk to 17,000 people in year 1. If you show up early and you talk to 17,000 people in year 1, 70 a day, what the hell do you think is going to happen? This result is ordinary for somebody that will apply extraordinary activities. So I don't want to be impressed about someone's results. I like to be impressed and think about what the hell they did to get there. That's extraordinary. This year, where will you end up? You think you're going to end up in transactions? And we can talk a little bit about team, but what do you think the final number will be, roughly?
Just my personal business?
Sure, you can tell me that, and then with your buyer's agents.
Somewhere close to 200.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around 200. And then when you add in your buyer agents that you're funneling leads to now?
Low to mid 3s.
Low to mid 3s.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So there's maybe another 100 to 150
Yeah.
that your team will add to your 200.
Yeah.
So again, now we're building something out. He's building something out for 300, 400, and we've got ideas on going to the 700 number. So we're just playing that game, right? Of like, let's see where we can go with it. And then when he gets there, we'll probably switch the game up, and I don't know what game we'll be playing. Maybe we'll be playing some different game. What were your early challenges?
I would say my early challenges was what conversation was I going to have with my wife regarding what I was building and what my mission was going to be, and how do I make sure we play this game together. It took a lot of vulnerability. It took a lot of us having like some really tough conversations up front, and inevitably it took her supporting me on this journey and believing in me, and then me to make sure that I honored the commitments I told her I was going to make. If my wife was up here, and she's been to a couple events and has heard me say it, she would say that when I commit to something, I do it. And it's because when I commit to something, I'm always doing it for a bigger reason than myself. Like now I'm in the office at 7 a.m., not to feed my family because we're going broke, but it's to show my agents on my team what needs to happen. Now I do the Ironman that we committed to, the half Ironman that we did this year, because I told my friends I would do it and I'm going to be there to support them. So I never canceled a workout. I never bailed on any of our workouts. I never bailed on anything that we were supposed to do. I showed up every time, and every morning when I woke up, I was upset as heck driving to whatever we were trying to do. First time I swam in the pool, Greg asked if I swam, and I said yes. And I swam in the pool, I couldn't get 2 strokes without about to have a heart attack. Because I've never actually swam. I've swam to, I don't know, like 5 strokes to somewhere. I knew I could get to point A to point B, but actually swimming laps was ridiculous. I haven't been on a bike since I was probably 15. But it's the same thing with real estate, is I committed to my wife that I was going to give her an extraordinary life. I committed to my kids when they were babies that I was going to give them a future that I felt like wouldn't limit what was possible for them, because I put it all on my shoulders. I had a scarcity mindset. So at the beginning, the toughest conversation was with her to make sure that she was on board with what I was trying to build, and understanding what sacrifices, maybe from a familial standpoint, I'd have to make, and making sure that that wasn't going to be a detriment to our relationship because of my goals and what I personally wanted to build for me, in part the family, but really, if we all bring it down to the simplest level, we are doing this for ourselves. Like, I can say it's for my kids, but if something happened to my kids, I'd still be doing this tomorrow. I can say it's for my wife. If something happened to my wife, I'd still be doing it tomorrow. I'm very clear on I'm doing this for me, doing this for my goals. So I make these commitments to myself and I honor them because it's extremely important to me that I show up and I accomplish this. So that's the one that comes to my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the challenge was that you knew that you were going to go all in, and that you might have been taking some time away from the family for a year or two. I remember that conversation. Got it. Yeah. So,
and that was a me decision, not a you decision. Like, meaning that you didn't coach me, take time away from your family. That was, I really understand the opportunity that we have in real estate is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous the amount of money that we can make, and the amount and how great we could really increase our lives and enrich our lives with not only items, but the give back we're able to give when we make a certain amount of money, the scale we're able to do, and kind of the time freedom and flexibility that we have. I completely saw that opportunity, and I wanted to take every single inch of it that I could.
So what is one of the things that you feel like in your earlier years that you did right, whether it be at Happen or with team, that you really committed to and you did right, and now you look back and say, gosh, if it wasn't for that, everything might look different?
I was extremely coachable at the beginning. To you or any of the other top agents in there, and so I didn't let my excuses get in the way. So every day I made the commitment to be at the office by a certain time. I made the commitments to be on the phones for a certain time, and I made the commitment to be out of the office at a certain time. So I stuck to that. And on days that I felt bad, I stuck to that. And on days where I had a headache, I stuck to that. And on days where there was a hurricane coming at us, I stuck to that. And on days where my doctor wanted to meet with me, I pushed that off till months later. So it's just life comes up, and I tell the agents on my team this all the time, but I know Greg says it too, life comes up every day. Every day we're getting punched in the mouth with something. Something's happening to you or a family member or your friends or whatever it might be that could prevent you from coming in, or an excuse you can make that everybody in this room will buy, and I'll even buy it and put a smile on my face, but really that's just you bailing on commitments you made to yourself. And that's what I just continue to see in this business, is agents show up with all the energy and all the motivation in the world. They'll do whatever it takes. And the second or third day I'm in there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, still making my calls, they're all gone. I see them take an hour and a half lunch break in the middle of the day. I see them get discouraged by a call, then get on their emails for 2 to 3 hours because they don't want to make that next call with fear that the next person's going to hang up on them or not want to do their services. And you let these small little trials or small little kind of bumps in the road throw you off course from the commitment you made 3 or 4 or 5 days ago or 3 months ago. It's why nobody reviews their goals after they write them. So I see that we're doing the goals today. 90% of this room didn't look at their goals again after they wrote it down in this meeting. I guarantee it. Probably 95%. Because the day you left out of here, you planned a trip instead of doing what you said you were committed to on your goals. You didn't make the contacts you should have made. You decided to stay home and check your email or do whatever else kind of threw you off path. So I would say that the one thing I did right is I made the commitment, I made the goals, and I stuck to it, regardless of kind of how the day or the week or the month kind of shaped up.
Anything throw you off? So,
No.
you know, you've observed a lot of agents come into business and out of business over the 9 years you've been around me. You and I have traveled quite a lot of different places and have been on a lot of agent circles and whatnot. What do you see right now is something that's common that seems to be in the way for the agents that are trying to get to another level? What are they missing? What are they not doing? What are you seeing that's lacking in the industry right now that's keeping people from like being able to level up or break through?
This might be thrown off the stage. It's just so true. And this is something that I'm having to deal with where I'm at in my business right now. Agents want things so easy right now. Like they just want the leads given to them. And guess what? He can just give you those leads. And here's the cost of it. He's going to have to hire all these staff members to nurture all the leads and all these other people to do everything. And then we'll be able to give you live leads. They say that they're ready in the next 30 days to do something. But guess what? The person doing all that nurturing wants 50, 70 grand a year. They also want bonuses on top of that 50, 70 grand a year that's going to give them another 30 to 50 grand. So there's a $100,000 staff member per person that can nurture all your leads for you so you don't have to do the nurturing, you don't have to do the cold outreach, you can get people who are ready to go and it's coming from your bottom line. So then instead of you making whatever commission split you are, you're now paying a 35% referral fee or 50% to Zillow or 55% to some of these other websites. And every year they're creeping up those numbers on you. Started at 20. Now it's going up to 50, and soon it's going to be 60 and 65%. And where everybody in this room is lucky, and the one thing that I probably challenge to Greg now more than anything else is, dude, you know how much easier it'd be just to build out this system? To hire staff members who actually do what you tell them to do, unlike agents who don't ever show up when they tell you they're going to show up, because if they don't show up, you just fire them. And then you train them on these processes and procedure because they're all corporate, so they're actually going to listen to the stuff that you say you do. And then you can give them 2 weeks off and you can plan it 6 months in advance. And we can scale this business, dude, and we can do 10,000 transactions next year so easily. But the agents make between, I don't know, 50 to 70% less. But guess what? It's easy. It's all going to be so easy on you. All you have to do is answer the phone when the VA calls you, go show the appointment, get the contract, and give it to our closing department. And you have to do nothing else. So it will be so easy for you. But this guy over here cares about developing and training agents more than anybody I've ever met. And if his harsh demeanor convinced you that he doesn't, like let me scale this back. He cares so much about developing these agents, training these agents, giving you the flexibility and giving you these lifestyle and these dreams that everybody says they want coming in, that he won't compromise on this. So the hardest thing is what you want to be so easy is the thing that's going to take away all your freedom and make you extremely replaceable in this business. And unfortunately, most agents and most business owners are continuing to just adopt these processes because it's way easier to do it. And now we're getting into a dimension where all these agents want everything easy so they make a ton less money, but the agents become super replaceable at these companies. So it doesn't matter whether they leave because they just bring in the next person to go and show property. So nobody cares about developing talent anymore. Everybody's how do we scale this business and how do we make it the most profitable and not how do we develop talent. So as you keep wanting this to be easier and easier, these companies are going to make it easier and easier and easier, meaning that you're going to make less and less money. So the one challenge that you need to overcome is it's great that it's not easy. The fact that it isn't easy means that less agents will do it, meaning that if you do it and you have success doing it, you're going to make more money than anybody else in the business. You'll be able to scale this up, and you'll actually be a business person than somebody who just picks up a widget, carries it over here, drops it here, and then somebody else takes it from there and closes it out. And that's the way this industry is going if we don't get grit. And that's where I see this room missing more than anything else, or people who leave this business, is they don't have the grit. They'll show up for a day or a week, and then they'll leave for a month. I worked in the car business right before I got into real estate for a short period of time. And there would be guys who would come out there on the lot, slick back salesmen in their 60s and 70s, and they'd kill it for a month, or kill it for 2 weeks. And then they'd disappear for 2 weeks or a month, because you could do that in the car business and nobody cared. And they would go down to Florida and blow all their money because they had a good buck, come back broke, and then they do it all over again. It's the inconsistency that's hurting you. If you make a commitment, you show up every day, you make these contacts, you nurture these leads, you give them value, you follow up, you go on the appointments, you do your best to ask really good questions, and then ask the tough questions to close the deals, you'll be insanely successful over a long period of time if you continue doing it. But the challenge is nobody's doing it consistently, and now everybody wants it easy. And I know how to build it easy, and this guy over here will not let it happen because he's so committed to developing agents.
Well, that was an interesting one. I'm not sure if I should unpack that or not. That was like, yeah, I can see where you had the dilemma, like I might get kicked off. No, that was great. Wow, what an answer. And Kevin and I do spend a lot of time together, so I understand exactly what he's saying, and I didn't know he was going to say that. He didn't know he was going to be up here until about 7:30 this morning. Didn't tell him. But I appreciate you saying that, because, and I will say a few things about this, is it is something that I've seen, and listen, let's just understand this, okay? And I'm not for or against Zillow. But you gotta understand, we single-handedly put Zillow in business. We put them in business, and let me tell you how we put them in business. We stopped what Lance talked about, Taylor talked about, Kevin talked about, showing up early in the office and making contacts. Zillow figured out that agents don't want to do that work anymore. So they says, here's what we'll do. Why don't we do it for them? We'll do the lead generation. We'll spend our money and we'll go generate the leads and just give it to the agent. And the agent loves it. And then what ended up happening is they drove millions of people to the Zillow website. And they turned over these leads to agents. And then all of a sudden, the agents didn't call the leads. In Zillow, a department in Seattle, I know this to be true. One of their main corporate offices, they have this big office with all these operators to answer the phones, and they were getting an overwhelming amount of calls that were complaining that, hey, your agent didn't call me back. Zillow was getting a call from a consumer that says, your agent didn't call me back. Zillow said, oh shit. These agents are going to single-handedly destroy our brand. Because they're not making the calls. We're promising the agent's going to call, and the agents are not making the call. And the agents and the consumers thinking that it's a Zillow agent. And Zillow's their brand's getting tarnished. So then they said, uh-oh, we're going to have to make the calls. So the Zillow started the concierge department. So then Zillow started to try getting the leads and then making the pre-call. So then they knew that the consumer would be served, they could protect their brand. And then all of a sudden what happened is then they would go and try to then send the lead, and the agent still would make a call. So then what they did is they says, okay, now we've got to find agents that will accept the lead and do a lead, and we'll just do a lead transfer, a live transfer. So then they actually started sending the lead, but not actually sending the lead, hoping that you were going to call after they called them. They called the lead, sent you the lead, and had you on the line, and we're going to do a live transfer to you. And finally, they got somebody. But that cost a lot of money to actually hire all those live transfer concierge staff members. It cost a lot of money. So then they had to go ahead and start assessing like bigger fees. The lead costs went up, big referral fees, and then they realized, holy cow, an agent will actually pay 40% of the commission to actually not have to lead generate anymore. Agents are doing a terrible job at follow-up and nurturing. That's why they decided, well, we'll go ahead and nurture the database. We'll let you have the lead, but we're going to nurture it as if it's our lead. So now they're doing all the nurture for the agents. Agents don't even have to nurture it. Zillow will nurture it for you. Zillow's got the mortgage companies going because Zillow doesn't partner with mortgage companies anymore. There could be MSA agreements. Zillow Mortgage is Zillow employees that are mortgage people. They are not partners. They're not third parties. Zillow is right now figuring out the end-to-end solution to manage the transaction for you. So when we sit there and say, he's saying easy, the challenge is agents want it so easy, and y'all have so much control. Let me tell you how much control y'all have. At least you think you do. Okay, and I'll say that with a lot of respect because I can share with you where it's going to be a mistake. You're leveraging companies and not allowing the damn companies like us to make any money anymore. That's what you're doing. Bitching them about commission splits. That's what you're doing. You're leveraging. And you're leveraging the attachment that the company has to you. And you're demanding more resources on top of getting less, contributing less to the company's financials. And you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Forcing the Zillows of the world to figure out how to eliminate you. Right now, I shared this with you, Travis, the other day. Right now, I guarantee you a seller has called me. A lead has called me since I've been on this stage today and left a voicemail to ask me to sell their property. Guaranteed. I bet you there's one of those on my phone right now. And I have figured out how to still be on the stage and service that client. Because I have somebody that's going to call that client because they know I'm on this stage. I have somebody that's going to do the CMA and do the research for me. I have somebody that's going to set up a time for me to call that seller. And I'm going to call that seller, and in 15 minutes, I will convince them to list at my price. And then I will not send that paperwork out to that seller. Somebody else will. Somebody else will process that listing. Somebody else will get it in the MLS. Somebody else is going to actually organize the showings. Somebody else is going to negotiate the offer for me. Somebody else is going to actually close the transaction. Somebody else is going to pick up the paycheck. Somebody else is going to make sure it gets deposited into my operating account. And I will at some point decide, hey, can you just maybe do a distribution because the operating account's too high. Now, I want you to think about that. I just took you through the whole transaction. I've only got 15 minutes invested in, and I just delegated everything else. What Kevin just said is, I'm already smart enough to figure out I don't need an agent. Agent was only involved, what I just shared with you, me, the agent, was only involved in 15 minutes of that entire transaction, and I got paid. I've already got it figured out. The only reason I have not implemented this at scale is because I'm an agent at heart. My passion is developing talent and helping others build wealth. If I actually followed through on what I already know, there'd be game over. There'd be no more. There'd be plenty of real estate being done, but I would be done. But like Kevin says, I really appreciate you saying it. I wasn't expecting that. Please, I agree with Kevin. You've got to have the grit. I can't be the only one working all day, every week, throughout the year, trying to help you grow your business. You've seen 3 examples. An 18-year-old kid turning 19 just took 42 listings. It'll be 60 by the end of the year. Taylor, 26, scared to death, but breaking through and keeping pushing, moving forward. She'll get those 50 transactions in her 3rd year. And then Kevin, still, when he doesn't need to, is going to keep pushing through and pushing the limits to 700 transactions, or maybe even more, bringing a lot of people along with him, helping them develop wealth along the way. Work with us. You're making me work too hard. I'm only asking you to show your ass up and make some damn calls. I've actually explained it to you in the most easiest way that any other coach has explained it to you. All the other coaches are lying to you. They're saying, go do this on social media. Go do this. Go do that. All you got to do is look at their per person production against ours, and we'll see which one works.
So, I said something earlier about how I observed. I observed the training center, I observed the agents, I observed how they did their processes. When I hit 100 deals, Greg introduced me some people, and I went around to their offices, and I met some people, and then at 200 I met other people, and at 300 I met other owners of companies and other team leaders and other people. I met anybody in this business that you would know at a very big level, I met. And I understood their processes and their systems and their operations, and they all looked at us and our processes and said, damn man, I wish I did it that way. I wish we did it like that. Because I can show you the guys who are doing 1,000 transactions a year as a single agent, or say they are, but they spend 150 grand a month on billboard and radio advertisements. I see their bottom line. I see that they're losing money every single month. I see the team that's out there saying that they're doing 5,000 transactions all over the websites, trying to recruit more people to join them. Because that owner is taking loans against their business and loans against all their property just to try to get to that break-even point so they can be profitable and keep this going. This is the way to build a predictable and duplicatable business that is yours, that you can grow, that you can be the business owner on, and that you have some control over. I think about, if you guys watched the Last Dance documentary, the Michael Jordan documentary, there was one scene in that made me cry harder than I think I've ever cried in my entire life. And it was the moment that they looked at Michael Jordan and they were kind of dogging him without him knowing, I guess, because they were showing like all the mean and ruthlessness and all the intensity that he had, not during practices, but also during games, and how he addressed the players. And there was a point where he's like, you think I was doing this for me? I was doing this for you guys. I was doing this because that's what we said that we were going to do. And then he said break, and he broke down and started crying. And that's what I feel like all of this is and what we're building. Is like, you don't think we could figure out a better way to make more money if that was the end of the goal? Like, this is for all of you guys to build wealth. This is for everybody here to be able to support their family, live the dream that they're wanting to. Because nobody on this stage talked about, hey, by getting here, here's everything that you're going to have to sacrifice. That's not how they're doing it. They're saying, if we can help you build a lifestyle that you want to live in the direction that you want to live it in, if you just can commit to prospecting, contacting clients consistently on a daily basis. And if you start with 30 minutes a day, that's better than what most agents do. And if you kick it to an hour a day, you're going to see some incredible results. You jump it to 3 hours a day, I guarantee that you're making 6 figures. Go to 6 hours a day, I guarantee that you can get to the 7s. It's all about what you want to do at that point. But your biggest frustration isn't that all the leads suck, that the CRM is doing this, that nobody's on your side, that nobody's answering the phone, that these conversations aren't good. It all starts internally. You're not honoring the commitments that you said that you would honor. And as soon as you start doing that, it's incredible how business is going to shift up. That's where I feel like the breakdown is.
That's awesome. Well, I think you've said a lot, and I appreciate everything you said. Give Kevin a round of applause.